Good evening, Facebook Live, and welcome to a Different Perspective show. My name is Joshua Jackson, and today we're going to have Jada on our show. She's going to tell us her story uncut, raw. Basically, our guests come on the show and tell some of the things they've been through. It's basically a therapy to some of us that's on Facebook that don't know that there is light at the end of the tunnel. What we do on this show is absolutely free. There is no charge to you guys. But you got to be willing to open up and talk to others that's going through the same thing if you want help. Again, my show is all about helping those that's been through issues that don't see light, and you can see someone that has had light and it's going to go better. At this moment, I'm going to introduce Jada. Would you come on up, please?
Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you very much. Please have a seat.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So everybody, this is Jada. Jada, why don't you tell Facebook a little bit about you?
Yes. Hey, everybody who's watching. I am Jada Sharise. Where do I begin? I'm an author, a speaker, a writer, a blogger, producer, editor, and spoken word artist. I started this journey back in 2016. I started writing because I was at the end of a toxic relationship. And I wanted to post on Facebook to uplift and inspire the next woman who may be going through it or someone who's single to encourage her. And from those Facebook posts, it just went on and on and on. And here I am with the book and with a podcast and having speaking events. So it's been good. It's been good.
That's a good thing. Couple of things I did hear you say. You said that you've been doing speaking and podcasts for a while, correct?
Yeah.
So before that, what was some of your podcasts about?
So I actually started my podcast in February, and then my book was released in March. But my book was already in process. I didn't publish it or release it or make it public until March. So I wanted to make this podcast or create it because I wanted it to be a platform where women who's healed can come on and they can talk about what they've been through, because I really believe that our story isn't for us to keep, but it's for us to tell. You never know by telling your story what life you could change or what life you can save. So I wanted to have this podcast so women can come on and say, hey, this is how I got through this abusive relationship. This is how I healed from the divorce. This is how I overcame my suicidal thoughts. And that's what my podcast has been about. Like today was really emotional and she was crying and I didn't know if I should stop, but it's real. It's emotionally unfiltered on purpose.
Okay. I heard you earlier say toxic. A lot of us have different terminology of what toxic really is. You want to give us a brief understanding on why was it toxic to you?
Definitely. For me, it was toxic because we knew that we shouldn't have been together. And it was the sex. It was the convenience of it. It was the history that we had. This was my high school sweetheart. We were together for 8 years. And it was convenient. It was comfort. And as bad as we didn't like each other at times, we would still end up back with each other. And that just kept going on and on. And I was trying to convince myself that I was over him. But on the weekends, I was still under him.
Okay. So Facebook Live, if I'm getting it correct, what she's saying, basically one of the main things that kind of kept her going is the comfort. The part to having someone close, not saying that she loved him, but in the sense that she was drawn to certain things as sex,
right.
Correct? At the time, but not really loving this person as being in love, but just being acceptable to the situation.
Right.
Am I correct?
Yeah, comfort zone.
Okay. Out of the 8 years, you said you guys together, am I correct?
Right.
Out of the 8 years, is there anything you can tell us what made it toxic? What led up to that point? We know you just wake up and say, hey, you're toxic.
Right.
So what actually led up to you saying, this is a toxic situation?
That's a great question. And I think when I realized that I was lost and I was broken, I could see that it was toxic.
Okay.
Because when you in it and you're going through it, it doesn't feel as bad. But when you take steps back and you realize your worth and what you deserve and what you've been accepting all this time, you kind of have to own your brokenness. I had to forgive myself for a lot. So I actually had to step back and take my emotions out of it. I had to stop having sex and realize, what am I doing? what's the purpose of this, you know?
So is it safe to say that sex was a very emotional, attractive part of it? Is that safe to say?
It was, it honestly, sometimes it was just something to do because that was my past. I was with him forever, you know?
Okay.
So it was easy, it was comfort, it was convenience. But at the same time, I got to a point where I didn't have any emotions towards it.
Okay.
So I didn't want to, you know, and afterwards it's just like, okay, it is what it is. But then when I became more wiser and things that I was going through, and when I started to process everything, I don't feel like you can have sex with someone and be intimate with them and not have any emotional ties.
Okay. So I hear you say that was 8 years ago. So may I ask, how old are you now?
I'm 27.
27. Mm-hmm. So that roughly gives you 20?
Yeah.
So you guys is about 20, like you say, basically coming towards the end of your high school sweetheart.
Exactly.
Usually when we graduate from that time, we don't have a clue on what we really want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Do you say can I say he helped you at that point in time? Think about the question that I asked. Think about the question that I asked you. Reason why I'm asking that is, we say sometimes that, you know, it's toxic, but not understanding what did I gain out of it. So think about my question. 8 years prior to that, she was 20, not as mature as you stand now. Do you think what you guys went through helps?
Oh, it definitely helped me. You know, that's why I wrote a book about it, you know, brokenness that made me whole. So I had to go through those things to be who I am. It was preparing me for the man that I have now, you know, and I was able to receive him because I knew what I didn't have before. But it took me rebuilding myself. I had to rebuild my relationship with God. I really had to take time to actually heal from what I had been through because I was so damaged. I thought you meant help in a different way, and it's just like,
that's why I clarified.
I've always did everything by myself. But yeah, it definitely, you know, played a role in who I am and what I write about now and the relationship that I have now. So sometimes we get so frustrated or we're going through the motions and why is this happening to me? But I promise, like everything that happened to me that was ugly created something so beautiful and I'm living through it now. So you have to trust the process.
Okay. So again, you say ugly. We all have different terminologies of ugly. Is there, can I say, or maybe I ask, was there any abuse going on in the relationship?
There wasn't any abuse. Not at all, but it came to a point where I didn't know who he was anymore. And I remember this one instance that we had, and that for me was just like, I don't want to do this anymore because I don't know who he is. And it was my cousin's wedding, it was her reception actually. And he was drinking, and I didn't like who he became when he started drinking. So I tried to take the cup from him, and he lost it. He lost it. And I don't know if that's a man thing. You know, you don't take a drink from a man. They feel less of a man or it's offensive, but he lost it and he squared up with me. And after that, it was just like, who are you? You know, who am I looking at right now? But that wasn't the first time he squared up with me. Okay. So at this point, it's just like, I see that you're at the point that you can become abusive, and I don't want any parts of it. Okay. So it was just a big scene. After that, you know, family came out and they heard us going back and forth, and thank God somebody was in the parking lot because who knows what would have happened, you know, and that's that. So when I seen those signs, it's like, okay, I don't know who we are anymore, who you are, I gotta get out of that.
Okay. I heard you say there was signs, and usually male or woman, doesn't matter, don't recognize the signs. What are some of the signs that you noticed besides the one you said you took your drink? What were some of the other things that start to help you notice that something's wrong, something's not right?
Well, I have to disagree because I think that we all see the signs. I think that we choose to ignore the signs. I know one mistake that I made was I fell in love with potential and not reality. So in my mind, I knew what he could be. I knew that I could teach him this and I can show him that, and you know, this is his first real relationship, things like that. But I also learned that you can, you find out in dating or with different men, it could be a woman at this point, but when I was dating him, throughout this process and relationship, I've learned that he was provided for, but he wasn't raised.
Okay.
So that starts at home. So a lot of things I was trying to teach him to treat me this way, do this and do that, and be a gentleman. But it wasn't really, well, signs, I would say back in high school when he cheated, but that was, high school stuff. And I was with him some of college too.
Okay.
But it wasn't really any signs until I noticed that he would do things as far as like the drinking. But other than that, it wasn't big signs that I overlooked or anything besides falling in love with potential and thinking that I could show him something different or change him or create the person that I wanted.
Okay. Did you guys live together?
We did.
So usually when a breakup happens,
Mm-hmm.
And you living with someone, it's actually a very hard thing to either get rid of him or get rid of her.
Mm-hmm.
In your case, this is a him. So did you guys go through that situation where it was hard to get rid of one another?
Not at all.
It was simple like that?
It was so simple. And just at my event last weekend, we were talking as women. When we decide that we're done, it usually just happens out of nowhere. You don't plan it. You just so tired at the point when you wake up and I'm done. And that's what happened with me. Went to sleep one night. I was tired of crying, tired of asking for things, tired of asking for change, and wanting something out of this person. And I felt so alone in the relationship. And how am I with somebody and I still feel alone? Went to sleep, woke up, packed my stuff. I don't know where he was. Didn't call, didn't text, didn't leave anything, didn't write nothing. I packed my stuff and on my way down with my bags, I seen him and he just asked for the key.
So it was safe to say it was over prior to someone just had to make a choice.
I had already left.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So
Right.
somebody had to make a physical choice,
Exactly.
not a mental choice.
Right. Mentally I had left, but physically I was still there. But even when I moved out, it's let's be friends and I'm not bitter, we don't have to have a bad ending. And ladies, I'm gonna tell you, you cannot be friends during the healing process. You cannot, you have to set boundaries. And that's what I had to learn, set boundaries. Because even though I moved out, it was still some type of relations or situationships, and when you're done, you have to cut it off completely.
Okay. So we're gonna go back a little bit. So do you have any brothers and sisters?
I do.
Want to tell us about, brothers and sisters? We know it just ain't you around. So again, we want to know a little bit about you. So,
Yeah.
tell us about your brothers and sisters.
Well, on my mom's side, I'm the baby, and I have two older sisters and an older brother. He's the only boy. Only brother that I have, and then on my dad's side, I have my little sister, and she is 13. She's a freshman, so yeah.
So, I'm a real stickler about certain things. So when you say
Okay.
brother, what is this brother and sister name? We like,
Oh, name.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about it. You just said brother. I can go and say somebody else brother. Tell us a little bit about brother and sister.
All right, I'll start from the top.
Okay.
George is my oldest brother. And with George, he is the person that I go to when I'm making a new decision in my life.
Okay.
And it's just like, we're writing. I told him I want to be a writer. And he's just like, okay. So every day you're going to send me something. It doesn't matter what the subject is, but you need to train yourself to be a writer. And I appreciated that so much because he is so hard on me and he would tell you, that's a mess, you're not a writer. Things like that. So he's very, he provides constructive criticism. And then there's Tiara, who's here tonight. That's why I started laughing because I know she's like, oh God. Then there's Tiara, and she is so sweet and loving, and she's a true big sister, just like she's here tonight, and I really appreciate her. Let me tell you something funny about Tiara. When I was younger, she used to hit me all the time, and she would just be that big sister that just, throw me around like a rag doll. And I loved her so much for it. She would be the only person I would go to. After she didn't beat me down, I would still go to her. And she's like, I'm sorry, things like that. But I love Kiara, I love George. And then there's Erica. And she's similar to me, just goofy, silly, whatever I want her to do, she'll do, laughing and things like that. And then Mia, she's the baby. Again, she's on my dad's side, and that's nothing less of a sister. And she's so sweet. And because of her, I try and do everything in order and right because she idles me. I know that I always have eyes on me. So I'm always trying to be that great big sister And even though I'm so busy, I still try to make time for her. There's a huge age gap, you know, so I try to make time for her.
So
Is that
good. So listen to you. You say you got your determination from your older brother. Is that fair?
I wouldn't say
Or
that.
strictness?
Strictness.
Strictness from older brother.
Discipline.
From the younger sister, or which? You made.
I'm the
So
baby.
the middle sister, you got your toughness.
Yes. Oh, she is something.
So would you say all of your structure that you had prepared you for where you were?
I would. And also, my mom just
Who's getting that?
watching my mom raise 4 kids and just providing for us and just always making a way out of no way. You know, always making the impossible possible. So her drive and her work ethic, she always did it. And that's how I am. No matter what, I'm always figure it out. I'm always get to it.
So I heard you earlier say that your boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your ex-boyfriend was more of a mama's boy where he was given, not the.
I would say he's a mama's boy. I said that, I don't know if you were talking about the providing part.
Yeah, the provider.
Oh, okay.
So that's why.
Yeah. And that was I mean, he had both of his parents, and it was just things that we talked about in a relationship. It's just like, I can't give you that. I don't know that. So for me, it was just like, well, I'll teach you that. You know, I know you were provided for, you weren't raised.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So the reason why I was hitting on that is because I heard you say your mom, but I didn't hear you mention your father.
Mm-hmm.
But you do have a brother,
Right.
which seems that mom gave him installed both.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that was can't really say it's an issue because they always say it's a good thing to have both parents.
Yeah.
So is it something that you think your brother got from your mom that made him what he is?
I don't know. That's a tough question. We've never really had that discussion, you know, but I do have my dad in my life, and that's my best friend, and he's always been a provider to us and very loving, you know, and my mom will tell you that it was a very different relationship that she had with him that he has with us.
Okay.
You know, so he was a great provider, great father to us. But as far as my brother, I don't know where he gets it from, but we are both the types to just step out and do something. We wake up, we want to do something, we do it.
Okay.
You know, so it's just drive and ambition. And that's why I consult with him, because we are kind of like-minded, you know.
Okay. I know me and you reached back about a couple of months ago, trying to figure us a couple of dates out.
Mm-hmm.
I know I shot you a couple of dates, and you're like, well, this don't work, this don't work. And then the other day, I happened to see a post of yours come up, and you say, hey, it's funny how things work out, because when we were setting a date, and actually the first date I asked you for, we were supposed to hook up, you know, so I have to go into it a little bit. So, so, you know, I noticed that was one of your emotional points, you know. So, you know, I know this person is very important. So you want to tell us a little bit about how Uncle, was your uncle, correct?
Yeah,
how Uncle played a part into your development.
You've been watching. You've been watching. The funny thing is, so he lives in Memphis. I have a lot of family in Mississippi and in Memphis. And it wasn't until like 2 years ago, my cousin Raven, who left me, she lives in Vegas. Raven, I miss you so much. We just decided to take a road trip because our family in Chicago wasn't really getting together anymore on the holidays. And I don't know if it's like that for, you know, some of y'all family, but it just seems like it's separated. So we decided, okay, we'll drive down to Memphis. And I know them, but I'm not as close to them because we would always go, you know, to family reunions when we were younger.
Okay.
So we decided, okay, let's drive down to Memphis. And we surprised them. Only 2 people knew that we were coming. And they opened their home to us. That Southern hospitality is just amazing. And Uncle Willie, he was just so loving and funny, the life of the party, and just a great guy. Like, he was talking to me, you know, how's everything, how's the family? And then I seen him the next year after that, and, you know, through social media and things like that. But then it really hit hard because I was on the family reunion committee this year, and it was so much hard work. But Uncle Willie came up, you know, a lot of family from Memphis and Mississippi, and he was just here on August 6th. Mm-hmm. And then we got a phone call that he had a heart attack.
Okay.
So it's like, okay, you know, when I got the message, they said that he had a heart attack, but he was doing okay. So I'm like, okay, you know, God is able. But then I had checked in with his daughter, and she said that he was brain dead.
Okay.
And I'm just like, okay, God is still able. But then we finally got the call to say that he had passed, so they had no life support and whatnot. But in the midst of all of this, before that, even before August, I was calling around trying to find an event space to have my event that I just had September 1st. But God told me to have my event in August, but this was in the end of June. And God told me, you know, have your event in August. He had been waking me up every single day at 5 a.m. and giving me ideas. Your next book, this is what I want you to write about. This is who you're going to interview for your podcast. I want you to have this event in August. So I said, okay, I'll have my event August 31st. I wanted time to prepare, so I said I'll put it at the end of the month. I'm calling around. Nobody has anything open for August 31st.
Okay.
I wanted it to be like a 3 to 7 event, nothing. So I said, okay, let me do it later, nothing. Let me do it in the morning time, nothing. So I said, okay, I'll just do September 1st. Because I had already put it out there that it was going to be August 31st. Decided to do it September 1st. I found an event space in Homewood, and we were all squared away with it. And it wasn't until, I want to say, August 19th or the 20-something, we had got the call about Uncle Willie. So I never thought about the dates or anything, but on our way back from Memphis, I was telling my grandmother, you know, I'm glad I was able to make the funeral. I had been trying to find something for the 31st for my event because we were talking about my event. And she said, now do you know why you couldn't find anything for August 31st? And it still didn't hit me. And then I just started crying, like, wow, God sees the ending before the beginning. You know, it's already done. Everything is already planned out. So had I found something for August 31st, I would have had my event and I wouldn't have been able to make his funeral. Isn't that crazy?
So I have to go back to it because I know it was one of the ones that kind of, you know, help you see different.
Right.
You know, open up a different light. That no matter what you go through, he's going to provide.
Exactly.
You know, and I think that kind of, like I said, reading your post, my outtake of it was, you know, it just makes you look at things.
Right.
You know, again, Facebook, always stop and really explain. Sometimes we go through issues that no one else seems to see us going through these issues or understand why we're going through them. A lot of times we go to God and not really listening to what he has to tell you. One thing I can say about Jade, she said she paid attention. She listened to what he said and she moved when he told her to move, not on her time. Sometimes we pause and say we're going to work on our time, but then you continue to blame God because it's not done when you want it. It is safe to say and listen to her story that if you listen long enough and pay attention and follow in his footsteps, everything will work out. Is that fair?
Let me just add to that because that's a word. So I ended up quitting my job in December because my brother got sick this past December.
Okay.
We got a phone call that he was in ICU. He lives in New York, and that's all they told us.
Okay.
So I called my mom. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. I called my mom, and I told her, you know, I just got this message on Facebook. I have to find George. So I called every single hospital in New York, and they finally found him. We were all on a flight that following morning. I quit my job during that time because we were in New York for over a month, you know, back and forth, Chicago, New York. But during that time, I was just talking to God and asking him, what should I do? Because I wasn't in the space to write, but I had already decided I was going to write my book. So I used that time to start focusing on my book, and I was just trying to get in this creative space to start writing again. Here I am, not employed. God tells me, now is your time to write your book. God, how? Where am I going to get this money from? You know, I'm thinking publishing a book is $500-$600. No, it was over $1,000. But I worked hard. I had some side hustles that I was doing, you know, writing resumes. My boyfriend is amazing. He was very supportive and put some money up for me. And then my book was birthed.
Okay.
Now I'm unemployed. So I started a job in April, and everything was going good, but then we started losing clients. But I was also at the point where, what is my purpose? You know, everybody loves my book. You know, people are so supportive. They want more. So let me get back focused. So then I start praying, God, I wish I had time to just write more. I wish I had time to create my own events. Praying. Went to work, the company closed. And I'm just like, God, I know what I asked for, but I was not ready. I ain't got no money saved up. So he said, here we are again. You know, this is the time you've been asking for. What you gonna do with it? I created my event, Brokenness That Made Me Whole Girl Talk, which I just had September 1st. So right now I'm at the point where, God, I love you and I trust you, but you know my rent is coming up, my car note is coming up, but he keeps telling me, stay the course. I did it before, you know, I've done it for you before. Just, do you trust me? And it's just like, yes, I do. So I haven't been applying. At first I wasn't applying, but now I am applying, and I've just been asking God, you know, just for discernment. Right. If it's in your will, you know, somebody will call me, but I am looking. So.
I never leave it unbroken with it. One of the things I do hear you say, you give strength and good praise to the man that's in your life right now. So by being the book that you wrote, by being broken, you know, and in the wrong direction, it takes us as people, you know, to go through relationships to really get ourselves back together. And it's hard to trust somebody else when you usually go through this. So the gentleman that you met, what about him allowed for him to come in? What happened? What struck you? Because again, we all put walls up and barriers. What did he do to make that wall raise down just a little?
Now, listen. I met him at work, and before we actually had a conversation, I was a server, and he would bring me my glasses off the table. He would bring me my checkbooks, you know, things like that. And, you know, thank you. And I heard that he liked me, and I was just like, I would never. He is not my type. I am not interested. And that was that. Okay. But then we started having conversations, and he was just so different. The things that we would talk about was just on a different level. And the conversations would go on and on. And then I got to know him, and I was judging him. And I've learned that you can't read a book while it's closed. So I had to open him. I had to get to know him. You know, I had to have these conversations with him. So we became friends. And that went longer than he expected. We were best friends for 2 years. And we had went on trips together, and people just like, we know y'all together, but we really wasn't. You know, we were just really good friends. But I fell in love with him. And I hadn't touched him, I hadn't kissed him, I hadn't done anything with this man. But I was at a point where I had prayed my way out of this last relationship. Then my prayer changed, and I was asking God to keep me out of the relationship. Then I just did a complete cleanse with myself, and I was working on my relationship with God. So then when Mr. Lawrence came in, he was telling me, you know, that what he's looking for, and it was similar to what I was looking for. Okay. And he told me he went to church every Sunday, and he read the Bible, and I'm just like, he's just saying all this stuff because he wants my attention. But it was true, you know. And at that point, I needed somebody who was just so hungry for God and feared God, and because I wanted to stay on that high that I was on. And he really elevated me spiritually. You know, I didn't understand the Bible. I was bored. You know, I didn't get what I was reading. He said, you're reading in the wrong version. But all I knew was King James Version, right. You know. So he said, you're reading the wrong version. So we would have these conversations about the Bible and God, and I would just open up to him, and he would open up to me. And joined his church, you know, I got rebaptized, and he really elevated me spiritually. I had never experienced that before. My last relationship, we never prayed together. We never went to church together. So I was somewhere with God where whoever I was going to give myself to or commit to, they had to be there. And I wanted him to lead me in Christ. I wanted him to teach me things. And he's done that since then, you know, until now. I had deal breakers though. And he had kids. And I was just like, I ain't need nobody with no kids.
All right, before we go on to that,
okay.
We're going to get to that one.
Okay.
So we're gonna kick into Facebook Live and see what they got. Okay. Anybody on Facebook have any questions?
Ali Thompson. Hey, cuz, this is Poochie.
Poochie?
Poochie.
Oh. Wait, what's the name? This your phone?
Ali Townsend.
For me? Or...
I don't know for who it is. One of you two.
Well,
I don't know.
Hey, cuz.
Hey, cuz. You know them, Sierra?
Any more questions? No? All right.
Okay.
So we can go back a little bit
Okay.
more, you know, to.
I was getting to it. Huh? So I had deal breakers. I had just gotten out of a situation with somebody who had a kid. And my perspective always was, he gonna go back to his child's mother. It's always like that, you know, especially when they have the kid. Kids sometimes bring people back together. Not always.
Not always.
I have learned.
Right.
So I was very, very, very hesitant. And I would give and then I would take back. And it got to a point where he got tired of chasing me because he knew his value and his worth, and he also knew that it gets draining. You know, you showing me this, I'm giving you this, I'm showing you that you can trust me. We built the friendship for 2 years, and he got tired. So I was praying about it. I started asking people, you know, what you think I should do? And people just like, you know, you're too young, you don't need to date nobody with kids. And I asked my family, some people told me the same thing. But then I got to a point where, not everybody, I got to a point where I decided to talk to God, you know, and I didn't want to take other people's advice. I wanted to ask God what was for me. And I've learned that I was so broken and damaged that I fell in love with him, but I was also hesitant. I had trust issues that I couldn't give all of me to him because pieces of me were still scattered in my past.
Okay.
So I was going back and forth, like, do I want to start something new? I've been with him for so long, you know, we still friends and, you know, communicating and things like that. But then God showed me that sometimes what we think we want is not what he has for us, and it's also not what we need. So here I am, cutting him off because he has kids, and this man is everything that I've been praying for. It's challenging, it is very challenging, but he makes it worth it.
Okay. So I'm gonna go back. So it Facebook, just a little bit about my understanding on what she said. We can choose people the wrong way. Meaning, I heard her say that she judged the book by its cover before opening. And it's funny she say that because 90% of us do the Bible the right way. You take the Bible and you judge it before you even open it. You know, you hear so many people giving these scriptures and saying this and saying that, but you haven't really opened it up to find out really what it's saying to you. So you're taking the wrong choice and decision besides actually opening up and find out what the decision is. Fair?
That's good.
Is that fair?
That's the word. Yes, absolutely, I agree.
But I guess also opening it, Jada found out that, hey, you know what, it's actually a beautiful thing in the inside. It may not be everything that you want to hear, everything that's going to be your direction is going to be, but it's something that's going to lead me to where I need to be and going to get me to my next step.
Right. 100%.
So, in my words to you guys right now, don't be afraid to, you know, go for that book. That's not always the best looking. You know, that's not always got the money. That's not always have the pretty hairstyle. You know, again, she fell in love with a guy that busts tables. It is what it is, but his heart was worth more than anything else that he had. So be very careful on trying to assume just because he has a car, just because he has a good job, that that's the person for you. You know, learn to scrape the other things to the side and find out where his heart is really giving you. And find out if you really got it. Fair?
Yeah, just I want to correct you. I'm very specific. So I was the server, and he was, you know, helping me run tables. But he was in the hotel and made his way downstairs. He had no business being down there, but I'm glad he found his way to me.
All right. Okay,
No,
you're fine. So we're gonna go hit on this book really hard.
okay.
All right. So you wrote your book, so we're gonna jump in the middle. So page 12. Tell me a little bit about page 12.
I mean, I got my books with me, but I don't know page 12.
You don't know what page 12?
I don't.
All right, give me chapter 3. What happened to you in chapter 3?
Oh, I think that's just as bad as he was.
Enlighten us. I think that chapter right there actually is going to begin to explain and let people understand exactly where this broken heart is came from.
So let me see if you want to do it this way. So there's poem number 3 and there's chapter number 3.
Which one? This is your story, not mine.
Chapter 3.
Yeah, I can dig now.
Chapter 3. Let's talk about both, and I'll be really
Okay,
quick.
go ahead. Sure.
So Form 3, I believe, Tira, you should look at my book. Form 3 is just as bad as he was. Just as bad as he was. I got a lot of backlash from the girl who actually messaged me. And this is how all of this came about. I always knew that there was somebody else, but I didn't have proof. But she messaged me and she was asking, do you have anything going on with my man, who was actually my man at the time, but we didn't have a title. It was a situationship. We knew what it was. So with everything that I had been doing and going through within this cycle with him, with her, I wrote a poem just as bad as he was. And in that poem, I talked about my flaws. I said what I did wrong. I said that it took two. And yes, you knew about me first, but I also knew about you the second time when you stayed and we had our girl talk and we were both leaving him and we didn't.
Okay.
So I talked about how I was wrong and it was me actually apologizing to her. But she called and she texted and she was upset and she told me to take it down. I sound delusional. And it's just like, that's not what I was saying, So it gets tough when you tell your story. It's not always easy and it gets uncomfortable. But my story isn't for me to keep, it's for me to tell. It's not about me, it's bigger than me. Just as bad as he was. Now, chapter 3 is choosing love. A lot of women, when we are broken, we built this wall and we make it hard for the next man and the next man. But I had to learn that what one man did, it doesn't justify the next man, or it doesn't, you shouldn't judge that man by your past. And that's because you have to be healed. You learn things from your past. So everything that you went through, it had a meaning, it was supposed to happen. So in chapter 3, it talks about how I was able to find myself and rebuild with God.
Okay.
So I talk about feeling my cup, but not touching me, feeling me.
Okay.
So this guy that I'm with now talks about how he feels me. There were things that I was craving that I didn't get in my last relationship, and I needed him to feel me. I needed him to feel that void that I had. I talked about how I knew he was the one.
Right.
You asked that question, I knew he was the one because he elevated me spiritually. He always led me in Christ. He always had a foundation, of God. And it was just so different. He was everything that I had been praying for.
Right.
And I also dig deep into, how we can't always take advice from other people. People were telling me, you're too young, you need to deal with nobody who has kids. You don't need that drama in your life, but everybody's experience is not yours. So I'm so glad I went across that street and see like, hey, what's going on with you? Because I'm in love with you and I ain't even touched you or anything. And Tierra, who's here tonight, she was always the one down my neck saying, you need to be with him. That's a good guy, that's gonna be your husband. And I was just like, we just friends, I don't see that, but she was right.
This tough lady was
right. She was right.
Do we have any questions?
Yes, Benita Fountain. I would like to purchase your book. How can she do it?
Girl, listen.
2% here, 2%.
My book is available on Apple Books. It's also available on Amazon. It's on Kindle, Books a Million. And if you want a signed copy, you can just follow me at Jada S. Moore on Facebook. And you can just message me and I'll get you a signed copy and ship it out to you and we can talk more.
Latrice, this is for you, Jada.
Okay.
You said during the healing you cannot be friends. How did you know you were healed and it was okay to be his friend?
We ain't friends. We are not friends. But I've never bashed him. Anything that I talk about, anything that I write about is inspirational, it's poetic, and it's emotionally unfiltered on purpose. I have no reason to bash him. I thank him for what we've been through, what I was able to grow through, who I am today. And I'm not bitter or anything. And I even talked to God about writing because I didn't want to write about him no more. I didn't want people to think that I still wanted him. And it's 3 years later, she's still talking about him, but God said it's bigger than you. It's not about you. So during the healing process, when I was healing, you think, I don't want to be bitter, I don't want us to end on bad terms, but then you end up in that same cycle that you was in. Because it's convenience, what you're doing, or I'm bored, or I miss you, and I remember we used to do this and that, and then he at your house, and then you back in the cycle. I had to close my legs. I had to set boundaries. I had to block his number, and I had to stop checking on his mom. Y'all like that?
Yes.
No, but fact.
Any questions anymore? How about the audience? Anybody have any questions?
This is good.
You have any questions?
Questions?
So really, I'm going to give you a compliment. You're a beautiful young lady.
Thank you.
Stick with your book, stick with your words, stick with your mouth, stick with your mouth. Don't let nobody tell you nothing different.
Yeah.
Be speaking what you want to. I'm a man, brother. My husband has cancer, and he really gets on my nerves. But he's verbal, he talks verbal to me. But I gotta learn to say humble.
Yeah.
So you just keep doing what you're doing, and I won't want to look for it.
Yes. Thank you so
What you
much.
think of us?
I would like to say that I'm just so excited that
What's
you
your
overcame the journey. My name is Stephanie.
Nice to meet you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Okay. Now go ahead.
Your name?
Joshua.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Long time friend with Jada. I want to say how I'm excited that you were able to overcome that relationship that you were in. I'm excited that God guided you to a man that is now your
Don't make me
husband.
cry.
Seriously. And you know, this journey is just the beginning.
Yeah.
God has definitely prepared your table in front of your enemies.
Mm-hmm.
And now your cup is overflow. So God bless you and I love you.
I love you too. Thank you.
Anyone else questions? Questions? Feel free, it's okay. No, it's okay.
Thanks, Sierra.
Sis, any questions?
Any questions? Comments?
We want to meet the sister.
We know she's the maid of honor because she's the one.
We
who
want to
knows.
meet Sister Tiara.
No.
So we'll do this then. Again, because I'm horrible with Tiara, right?
Yeah.
All right. So Jada actually told us through the middle thing. She said her sister is like one of the toughest persons, and the reason why her book is where it's at is because her sister pushed her and she stood there. You know, and so the lucky thing about having someone behind you and support you, you know, we don't always give them the platform, and it's not by choice or force by doing it. It's just sometimes we seem to forget because we caught in our own world. That's part of life. And again, what I said to you at first, everything we do here is raw and uncut. So by that being said, my job I'm going to do for sis is I'm going to give her the platform. I'm going to let her come up and assist her sister because without you, she wouldn't have this. So I know it's a very hard task that you don't like to do it, but I'm going to tell you this, and this is me telling you from helping so many people. Your support that you give her is what she needs to get to the point that she needs to do. Your platform that you're gonna get, again, I've always told people no matter what, you always get 5 to 15 minutes of fame. This is your 5 minutes with your sister. Enjoy the moment. This is where she's at that time. Again, not saying it always happens again, but I'll guarantee one thing, I can say it's first happened on this show.
Yeah.
That I can say it first happened on this show. So if you don't mind, would you please come up? Welcome aboard. Please have a seat. So, sis, we're just gonna bother you just a little bit. You want to tell Facebook who you are?
Her oldest sister Tiara. Pretty much everything she pretty much explained. I don't know about the whole tough part. That's pretty much. You are super tough, Tiara. I don't know. It's always a little one, right? Feisty, but she's so loving. And you used to fight a lot.
She's like, nah, leave me alone. I'm gonna leave this alone.
Just kidding, y'all.
So one of the things I do want to say though, Facebook, it takes a lot to come on the show. It really do. It takes a lot to get courage, and I do want to tell you thank you very much, for coming on. Continue to support you. I know it's nothing new to you, but it gets hard. It's going to get hard. She said it earlier. I'm going to go deep into a statement I have to say to you.
No, don't. I was trying to get her to take a picture of her.
Oh, okay. We gonna get it. I'm gonna go deep into something I personally say both of you guys, but I'm gonna finish speaking about your book a little bit. So we jumped to chapter 3 because you don't want to tell me about 2. So no, there's no way I know this book and you shouldn't know it. Come on now. So, all right. So one of my last things, I know we're getting close to wrap up.
Okay.
I think it was the fourth. Yep.
Which one you talking about?
You don't know what your fourth and fifth one is?
You about to bring it up. Someone to see if you knew.
Oh, you gonna tell me how I know which one? I just want to look at the numbers. Good try. So, your fifth one. Can you read that to us?
Okay. It has to be about 4 a.m. when the pain woke me out of my sleep. I got up, took an ibuprofen, and figured I would sleep it off. About 10 minutes passed, and the pain was worse. Excruciating pain, unbearable pain. I prayed. A car ride that should have been 10 minutes was almost tripled. Every bump in the road made a tear fall from my eyes. I was driving slower and slower. I prayed. Struggling to make it down the dark street, holding my stomach on both sides, I finally made it to Advocate Emergency. I told them I was having really bad abdominal pains, and I think it's a cyst because I've had three before. I was immediately put in a room because I couldn't walk anymore. It was like I was slowly losing consciousness. I prayed. The doctor pressed on my stomach with 2 fingers, and I cried like never before. Please stop, I cried out. In that moment, she frantically took out the ultrasound machine. I watched doctors argue in front of me over my health in a machine that wouldn't load with no answer. Can you imagine how I felt? The doctor said they only had 10 minutes to save my life. I made 1 phone call, sent 2 text messages. Then I was laid over a white table in a cold room full of lights for an emergency surgery. I almost lost my life dealing with you. That's 10 minutes.
Right. And I'm gonna hit on it, and then we're gonna kind of close out. That's more or less for my Facebook viewers. That means you have to go buy the book to find out what's left. So, I'm gonna hit on what she stated. And again, this is my interpretation. Facebook. Some of the things we don't seem to understand or get is when we at our weakest, or I don't want to say our weakest, and our most vulnerable. We put ourselves in a state where you need to be reborn, resurrected. And out of her statement, what I got out of that was, she needed to have everything redone back from her what it was. All the pain that she had, she no longer could accept that pain. Her body wasn't allowing it to be, and she needed something or someone to be able to take that pain out of her body, and she went to a healing. And again, always go back to the Bible. So what you say, sometimes when we need healing, it's not a friend, it's not a sister that you need. It's actually that higher being to give you that cleanse. A cleanse doesn't come from a friend. A cleanse doesn't come from a bath. A cleanse doesn't come from new clothes, a new attitude, new personal look. A cleanse comes from when you actually accept that I no longer can deal with the pain that I have inside. And it actually comes within me being me. That's why I say this show is raw and uncut. It's me telling you my story. If you like it, good. If you don't, sucks to be you. But I noticed that you cleanse yourself. And I just want to say before, is there anything I sent you in the head? Not anybody? Okay. So my statement to you two sisters, far and foremost, like I said, stay my each other. You're gonna go through a trial. I'm gonna tell you these next couple of months is gonna test you. Your job application searching is gonna take you to a point that you're gonna say, why? What choice should I make? Should I go back to making money, or should I go back to doing this? All right. Lean on your family. He's already opened the life and door for you. But if you tell him that I don't want to do it, and I'm going to make my different choice, that road is going to come along. We have windows. and either you're gonna catch the window or you're gonna lose the window. Right now, he's putting you in the window to go through to get higher. But you have obstacles. He wants to know where your faith is in his obstacle he given you before he bless you with the rest. You said earlier that you have a man that you depend on, that he's there for you. Take it to him. I don't know if you have or didn't. I don't know. Take it to him. Be open as you was at first and say, hey, this is what I want to do. And you two together are going to fix a way. But if you do it yourself and you try to say, I can handle it myself, exactly what you said you used to doing it, you're going to run through a lot of problems. So depend on sis. Depend on mom. Depend on that man that you said that makes you smile. A man's job is to provide. So when he provides and you guys begin to eat together, you're whole. So understand what's coming you guys way. But you have to deal with what's coming. But don't get sucked into a full-time job that's going to deter you from what you do. Your drive has to stay no matter what you go through. And Jeanette will tell you, I have so many people here that comes, do what they know they're supposed to do, it will not stop. If you ever look at my page, I have 100 things going on. I walk in his faith. And he always provides a way. He always figures out a way for it. He always does it. I don't question, I just go. And again, I don't know if that's what you do. I'm just relaying to the vibe that I'm trying to explain to you. It is what it is. It's going to be hard. Some days going to say, man, we ain't eat today. You know, eat. Just don't go out. Don't go buy that shirt. Change the way that you focus your drive on what you used to do. Like you said, hairstyle, hypothetically. And it's $80. Well, you know what? It's a light bill. I don't need that. Cut back. He wants to see what you're allowed to give up before I give. But if you're not willing to give up anything, if you're not willing to walk in with a plain t-shirt to that job and say, this is what I got, and they hire you because of you, or write that book because that's why you're broken, then you're not going to give what you need. You understand what I'm saying to you? So, again, I thank you guys for coming on the show. Don't be a stranger. Again, when you write your next 2 books, I want to be involved in meeting you again, but congratulations.
Thank you.
Keep up the hard work, you're going to excellence. That's the first thing you do. It's very hard for somebody to do it, but you do. One of the things I do, everyone that comes on my show, I always give them something from us, And this here is basically a notepad that you can take wherever you want. Like I said, I've never heard your statements about your brother or anything. So, this is, you can clip your papers, many clippings, like you said. Your brother said if he send you a bunch of it, and inside I wrote you a little message, and you get time to read it again. It's from Joshua, different perspective. I look at you differently, I look at this is what it is. And if we give to what our group is, it's a different perspective that it's going to come. Use it as much as it be. You see it's a little bit thicker than that one, so that means I need a thicker book now.
I love this. Thank you so much.
So, again, thank you guys for coming, on the show. I'm gonna have you guys, escort you guys off, and I'm gonna do my closing remarks. Do you guys have anything you want to tell about your book again? That way everybody knows. Please promote it.
Sure.
Give it to them again so they know where to go.
Brokenness that made me whole. I take you through 3 stages: losing myself, finding myself, and choosing to love. I wrote this book specifically for the woman who knows that she needs to leave, but she doesn't know how. The woman who needs strength to leave, or the woman who needs strength to remain single because she knows that she deserves better. And this is also for the woman who's with somebody and she knows that he should be in her past. So you shouldn't be with him, but you just saying. But everything that I create is inspirational, it's poetic, and it's emotionally unfiltered on purpose. You can purchase Brokenness That Made Me Whole on Amazon. It's on Kindle, Books A Million. It is also in Chicago Public Libraries. And if you would like a signed copy, you could message me on Facebook. I am Jada S. Moore. On Instagram, Jada Sharise. And my website is jadasharise.com. So thank you guys so much for listening. I hope that you were blessed today.
Thank you for coming. So guys, no, we're gonna wait. I'm gonna close out the show. We'll just hang out right there for a little while. All right, Facebook Live. This is part of my closing remarks. So pretty much, I just want you guys to know that God does things in His own way. You know, He has His own justice. And one thing Jada said that I always lose by: stop listening to what other people tell you. You know, if they knew exactly right, then why is your life so bad? So stop trying to tell me how to live mine and yours just as worse as what's going on. Secondhand people, it's actually the worst. It's just like secondhand smoke. You know, they get that worse the same way we are. So follow your own path. Trust in what God's deliverance is. Trust in what His guidance. God does not give you something that you do not deserve. I'm going to say this very close to everyone that's listening. Sometimes we wonder, why do we go through pain? In order to go through pain, that's what He's giving you in order to make Jada's book. You know, we all say sometimes, I wish I wouldn't have went through that. But if she never went through that, then she wouldn't have the book. So He gives us things in His path, His direction, so you can speak to others. You know, we all sit there and do, hey, I wish I would have lost an aunt. I wish I would have lost a mom. I wish I would have done that. But you have to understand and listen to God to understand, why did He give you this? Because it's something you're supposed to give to someone else. If you continue to hold all your pain and issues inside, you cannot bless the next man to you. One of the most important things I tell people is, if you hold a blessing in, how do you get something? I say this a lot. Close your hand and try to get something. There's nothing there. But if you open your hand, you get more that's in the inside. You know, accept the pain that's coming. Whether it's a bad relationship, a bad job, whatever, whether it's cancer, your story is set to tell someone else so they don't have to go through it. But if you continue to not tell someone, they have to go through the pain that could have been less than what you do. Again, my name is Joshua Jackson. This is a Different Perspective show. We're on every Friday. If you want to reach me, my number is 815-401-3180. Last but not least, September 14th at 10 o'clock in Maywood, we will have our non-violence rally. If you're about stopping crime without talking, because I see a lot of this on my page, feel free to hit me. We'll be out there from 10 o'clock to almost 4. I see you then. Have a good night.